Comicsgate is great for all indie creators, but are all indie projects great for crowdfunding? All views expressed are purely my personal opinion and speculation, and I accuse no one of any criminal wrongdoing. So I was going on a stroll yesterday, and I was kind of thinking about Comicsgate, as I sometimes do. And one thing I was thinking about was there have been some projects that have gone on Indiegogo and not funded. I wouldn't say failed. They're not failed, but they didn't fund. They're going to have to try again. They're going to have to try maybe new ways of success. And it kind of got me thinking of how there's a little bit of an interesting dynamic in Comicsgate. And I'll put it simply. It's just like this. Comic creators, indie comic creators, see this big opportunity to make their own comic now and sell it direct to a dedicated, interested audience. And they naturally go, hey, I got an idea for a comic. Or, hey, now's the time to come up with an idea for a comic. Let me get started on a book and get it out there and, I'll find my audience and it'll crowdfund. But then they're going to discover that it's not as simple as that when it comes to crowdfunding. Because while Comicsgate is welcoming for everybody and welcoming to all new ideas, crowdfunding remains less so. Now, I'm something of a self-anointed expert on crowdfunding because I've been following sort of the meta of crowdfunding for tabletop games since 2013. I've studied the campaigns, I've looked at the successful ones, I've looked at the unsuccessful ones, I've noted the difference, and I've gotten just a feel for why some campaigns succeed and why some don't. And sometimes it's obvious, and sometimes it's subtle. And for whatever my own analysis is worth, I can tell you at least one thing for certain. Crowdfunding is not for every project. Not when it comes to tabletop games, and not when it comes to comics and graphic novels. In fact, it can often seem like it's for a very narrow range of projects. And I think that fact might lead to some disappointment, because you might come to the indie game from the perspective of a little bit of the outsider. The big publishers don't want new ideas. Your ideas are too different. They're too innovative. They're too strange for the mainstream. Whatever it is, there is this classic trope or notion of the entrenched industry that doesn't want to give your ideas or projects a fair look because they're not just the same derivative crap that they always make, right? So no matter how good it is, they don't consider it because it's not their regular gruel that they're used to serving up. So you think, well, okay, forget them. I can take it over to Kickstarter, I can take it over to Indiegogo, and, let the people support me. Let the people who get it support me. Isn't that wonderful? I can escape the entrenched hierarchy that shuts out people with views and artistic creations that are different. But then you try crowdfunding, and what you're going to discover is that it's a different environment with different rules of success than the big publishers have. But its tastes are just as narrow. It may have different rules and prejudices, but it has just as many. And just as the big publishers don't want your idea because it doesn't fit inside their preconceived box for what a comic should be, crowdfunding doesn't necessarily want just any of your ideas because it has a preconceived box of what works for it. Now, maybe that is helpful to you if you're peddling something that's right up Indiegogo or Kickstarter's alley, or the crowds that go there's alley. Maybe it doesn't appeal to the publishers, but it does appeal to them. But you have to realize it still works the same way on crowdfunding. It does have certain projects that it's inclined to support and ones that it's disinclined to support very strongly. And that's not to say, don't try your ideas, but it is to say, be aware. Crowdfunding is a harsh mistress. It's just as inclined to turn away a worthy idea as any middle manager that you will ever pitch to, right? Because it's about making a sale in a very specific circumstance. You've got someone's attention, they come to your landing page on Indiegogo, and then within a few seconds, you've got to convince them to put in some money, a monetary investment. And that sort of gets into your more impulse sales. That gets into your upselling. That gets into sort of classic psychology of sales. And if you don't get that person's attention within a few seconds and start to create a compelling emotion within them within a few seconds, they're kind of going to look at it and go, okay, that's nice. And then they're going to move on. And different things can help you there. Certainly, fame and popularity can help you a lot. Diversity in Comics. He sells a lot of graphic novels because people know him and they're big fans and they want to support him. And one way to support him is to buy his graphic novel. And if you're part of an audience who's inclined to buy graphic novels, if you know, well, I'm going to buy 5 to 10 graphic novels over the next year, why not make it Zach's, right? Helps to clarify a purchase. So you go, oh, okay, it's something I'm going to buy anyway. I'll buy yours because I like you. That can work. But I think most of us who are going to be putting out campaigns for Comicsgate are not going to have that kind of name recognition. So your project has to be the thing really doing the sales job. And that's a game all in itself. And it's not every project that lends itself to that sales job. And I hope to do some videos that cover kind of what works on Kickstarter and Indiegogo and what doesn't work on them, at least in my opinion. But it is a large and entirely separate topic. It's several videos worth of content to cover these sort of basic principles of what works, and I hope to do those videos. However, for now, it suffices to say, if you're a creator out there hoping to do a Comicsgate project on Indiegogo, do realize that crowdfunding doesn't reward all ideas based on their objective quality, for good or ill, as it relates to your project, and that some comic or graphic novel concepts just aren't going to do well there. They're just the wrong premise, the wrong art style, just lacking in certain things. Maybe they have certain things that just don't count for success there, even if they should. That's something to keep in mind. It's not just any project you bring to Indiegogo and expect success with. So, that's all for now, and I hope you tune in next time.